Welcome back, boils and ghouls, to the Theater of Blood Horror Show. I am your host, Matt.
And I'm Tony. Anthony, Tony.
And today we are going to be discussing and doing our review of Alien Covenant. The triumphant return to some, not so triumphant return to others, of the Alien franchise by Sir Ridley Scott.
Sir Ridley Scott has returned.
And yes, he did return previously for Prometheus, but for some of the fans out there, they're like, well, that's a different film. It's the same universe.
Yeah, it's in the same universe.
This is officially Alien again.
This is part one of a hopeful new trilogy that he wants to do.
Right. Or two in a three set that will connect
to Prometheus.
to Prometheus to
sequel to Prometheus, prequel to the Alien franchise.
Exactly. So it fits somewhere in the middle. And it's had a, not a monumental debut, but it wasn't a poor debut. Its opening weekend and week was not bad. Since then, it's dropped off.
Yeah.
I think you said 71%?
71%. That's a bad drop-off.
Yeah, it's a bad drop-off. I can see that there are some flaws in this film. But personally, my overall review was positive, and I thought there were good things about it. Paced well, there were some tense moments, and it was an Alien film.
Yeah, and we spoke about this earlier. That's the gripes. People griped when they saw Prometheus and said we didn't get enough Alien movie. Now they put your Alien movie back in and kept it as a sequel to Prometheus, prequel to Alien.
And now they're bitching that they don't have
intrigue
and mystery.
Prometheus stuff.
Prometheus stuff.
You can't, like I said, you can't have it both ways, Alien people.
Yeah.
Alien fans.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I was happy. I was happy. I had so much fun with this movie.
I enjoyed it. I mean, when you and I, we went to a sneak preview together. I know we're getting to our review late. We didn't just watch it yesterday. He's actually seen it twice.
I've seen it twice.
Took his boy again the second time.
Yeah. All the Westerners are like, what?
We walked out and literally said to each other, we both enjoyed it. It was enough answers given and enough new intrigue laid out to make it a worthwhile film.
Yeah, and there are... a colleague of ours, Dave Zemer, says it's a movie in search of an identity. I disagree. I think it's a movie of 2 or 3 different identities.
Yeah.
And it may waffle on a couple, but it works as a whole, I think.
I agree 100%. I mean, there were tense moments. There was enough connection to previous films. There was enough foreshadowing for films to come.
Yeah.
It was not done without proper forethought.
Yeah, no. And the themes that Scott explored in Prometheus, the movie starts out with a scene with Michael Fassbender's David after he's fairly freshly made, I believe, in that sequence.
Yep.
And he's with his maker, Wayland, and the whole theme is wrapped up in one question by David to Wayland, played by Guy Pearce.
With "You made me."
If you made me, who made you?
And which really is, if you watch Prometheus, kind of the backdrop to that. And that storyline, not to give too much away, continues in this film.
It does.
There will be a few spoilers in here, and we will announce them ahead of time.
Yeah.
But we're going to try to leave most of the film for you to go and watch.
Yeah, we'll keep the big, because it's still fresh. We're only a week into its release. We'll keep the big spoilers for... Well, we won't do another show on this, but we won't give the big spoilers away.
Right. But I
have to say one thing. Well, not yet, but when we talk about our favorite scenes, it's not really a spoiler, but
I think
I'll have to speak on something.
I think there's a lot that we can talk about without spoiling too much.
Yeah.
But you're right. And to not start in the outer space setting, to start with that and that foreshadowing of that scene with David and his maker Wayland, who was played by
Guy Pearce.
Guy Pearce, and who plays Wayland, the famous Wayland of
Wayland Industries.
Wayland
We'll leave it at
Kani,
Wayland
Takanagi,
Industries, right? Yeah.
Takachani, whatever. Industries. It was an interesting start to the film, and then you jump to your outer space setting. And
right, you basically jump to your Alien movie.
Mm-hmm. And from
because
there,
that's what everybody wants.
And from there, it rolled. And you have your Alien setup that's typical in some ways. Most of the crew is down in their cryo sleep, and as opposed to them waking up on their own, as in the first Alien film, there is kind of a crisis that makes them. It's Weyland Yutani.
Weyland Yutani Corporation.
I just thought of that. He didn't pull it up on the computer, and I'm reading it off the screen.
Building better worlds.
Okay, maybe I did read it off the screen. Weyland Yutani. I said Takanashi.
That's all right.
See, that's the thing. I kept saying T instead of Y.
That's all right. Anywho.
So why T? Anyway, I was just saying something. And on to Anthony.
And on to me. Next. He does start out with that, and it put a lot of people off. And when we get to space, which is immediately, the opening scene's only maybe not even 10 minutes long, maybe not even 6-7 minutes long.
Mm-hmm. I know what I was saying. They were woken up by an action instead of them waking up slowly on their own, as in the original Alien.
Yeah.
There is a solar flare that hits the ship and causes a slight crisis. Takes out their captain, played by someone Anthony loves and hates at the same time, apparently.
James Franco. Yeah.
A
good actor who is just, very quickly. You talk about overexposure. James fucking Franco.
But at the same time, you can ask Anthony about some films that he's in, and he'll be like, "Oh, great performance."
Yeah, he's when he wants to be, and when the material is right, James Franco can be a very good actor.
And someone who won me over with his sense of humor. When I first saw him start to pop up with, now some steady other guys, with Seth Rogen and Danny McBride and the friendships they've created.
Yeah.
To see that he could be legitimately funny and then his comedic timing was right on.
He's multi-talented, to be sure.
Yeah.
But Jesus H.
So this whole show is going to be about James Franco.
Yeah.
And Danny McBride.
Franco has enough exposure. Thank you. Franco's a very,
very
gracefully. It's almost not even a cameo. It's like, is that James? Oh, he's gone.
Yeah. And did you see? Maybe I just saw it online. I don't think it was in the film. The whole rock climbing thing with him.
That was in the film.
That was in the film. Okay,
she's watching the.
Yeah, the video. Okay, good.
Yeah, he dies. He's the captain of the ship, and he burns up immediately.
Yep.
In cryo sleep, doesn't even open his eyes.
And I don't think he gets any credits in the film, so we're not really surprising anybody.
Do you think I should have stood up and cheered that?
Maybe.
Was that the wrong move? Yeah.
And so, from there, they, a la the first Alien, they receive a distress call.
There's a distress call.
And it leads them to...
Country roads take them home.
Yep. It leads them to problems, to danger, to the crux of the story.
Like any great Alien movie, don't answer a distress call if you're in space.
Just let them die.
Just let them go. You can't do anything about it. I guess we should mention what this personal ship is. Personal? That's not what I meant to say. What this particular ship is in this film. It's usually a bunch of workers or space marines or scientists.
It's always something different.
This is a colony.
Yeah.
They are going to something 6. I can't remember the name of it right now.
Yeah.
And they're going to start a new world because Earth is not going to make it, and everybody knows it. Apparently, President Trump is there in this movie too, because they know Earth is going to blow up.
Yeah.
But No, there's two. I think they said 2,000 something colonists, and there's a crew of 11, I believe, and they're going to start a new world, and they get the distress signal that takes them off their course.
And the reason that they're willing to take a look at this distress signal is it's a possible habitable planet that may even be more habitable than the planet they're heading to colonize.
And it's closer, and nobody wants to get back into the cryosleep after what happened.
Right, and there is a subplot kind of your new captain after the captain rose to death in his
Billy Crudup in
cryosleep.
a wonderful performance.
And did a great job.
I liked him in this.
And he has a religious background where he feels like some things are destiny, but at the same time he also has a crisis of confidence stepping into the role of being the captain.
He doesn't feel, as a man of faith, that people will fully trust his ability to rational think.
Right.
And if I was on that crew, he's goddamn right.
and
I don't want a man of faith in charge of me in a spaceship.
And seeing as how he leads us to the planet where the crux of a alien movie takes place, maybe they were right.
Yeah.
And the main person who is kind of second guessing him is your new Ripley-esque character,
played by Kathleen Waterston, who was really good in Inherent Vice. She's okay here.
Yeah, we talked about this.
All right.
She didn't do anything wrong. She just didn't do anything memorable to really...
She's no Ripley.
She's definitely not. I mean, Sigourney Weaver killed that heroine role.
Yeah.
She killed that heroine role.
And changed...
as the series went on. I mean, you look at Alien, she was smart, savvy, and the best thinker of the bunch, and thus she survived.
Mm-hmm.
But she wasn't tough as nails. In Aliens, she has been through it before, and like Danny Glover, she is tired of this shit. She's too old for this shit.
Right. Literally, she's about 250 years older.
Yeah. Seriously.
Yeah, she is, in fact, too old for that shit.
Which reminds me, since we are redoing this, there needs to be a re-apology.
We'll get that. We'll get that at the end. We're in the middle of the review right now.
So
just remind me at the end of the review.
Yes. Anthony needs to apologize to me for something.
Right, on air.
On air. So, yes, but Ripley, again, by the time she gets to Aliens, just the second film, becomes a Rambo-worthy monster killer. Amazing character.
Yeah, but she also, and I think what makes her Ripley well, and we won't dwell on that because we did our Alien episode, but she brings a depth to it as well,
Yeah,
She's
absolutely.
not just a tough-ass, kick-ass. She brings a new depth to her character that already had depth.
And true guts, you know what I mean? She does things because they need to be done. She's, if the Marines are having problems inside and she knows things are going on, she's going to take control of that car and she's going to go get them.
And that's what made her character, the Ripley character, at least one of the top 3 female heroines in movie history.
I really believe that's accurate. And we're talking about the heroine in this film, and again, she doesn't do anything wrong. She played her role the way she was supposed to.
She's just not, and I'm not saying he set out to make her the new Ripley, but kinda.
Yeah.
I think he was looking for a new Ripley.
Looking for a similar physique, bone structure, all sorts of stuff. There was a very
he failed
similar...
on that, let me tell you that.
Oh, God.
But anyway, that's not important.
No.
Yeah,
I can see how some would find her attractive. She's not my cup of tea, but, but attraction shouldn't be why you're watching a heroine anyway.
That's right. It's what's inside that counts.
Just like Drax the Destroyer said, "You're beautiful."
Yeah.
On the
but
inside.
no, her character isn't very strong, and none of the characters are really that well drawn, minus Fassbender playing 2 roles. He's David, and he's Walter.
Right.
Walter is a prototype from the Weyland Corporation, and he's on the Covenant.
Right, and he is the second generation of the David model.
Right.
Which is kind of interesting because I read something about how they always did the not android, synthetics. What?
Yeah.
Synthetics. So the synthetics always had an escalating, kind of like they do with storms. It's going in letter order. So
Yeah.
Ash to Bishop to what was it in the third film? Whatever it was, it started with a C.
Could care less.
Yeah.
Right.
Started with a C,
and then David.
All the way through.
Well, David was actually the first.
And David, but doing it in film order.
Yeah.
But the reason
jumped to Walter.
That they say that he jumped to Walter is now the second generation of the same android is always going to be on the opposite side of the alphabet. So A, B, C, D, you go backwards to Z, Y, X, W.
But I heard something different.
Right. Well, W is 4N and D is 4N, and it's got for every one of them they'd have an opposite side of the alphabet. That's something I read, at least. I couldn't tell you.
I read something more simplistic.
Okay.
David and Walter. David was named David because the great Walter Hill and David Giler produced and co-wrote the Alien series.
Mm-hmm.
Ergo, in this movie, it was David and Walter. Scott gave them those names.
Could it be both at once?
It could be.
Could be.
Anyway,
on to the rest of the
right, yeah.
review.
It's kind of cool. Both answers are kind of cool. Yeah. Yours is a little more in depth and cooler,
but you're right. He was by far and away the best part of this film.
He was.
Best performances, doing a dual performance role.
And Fassbender,
don't want to give too much away about how both performances come in.
Right, but it's no secret they do meet and they do talk. And very quickly, and I won't get into the depth of it, let you guys see this. My favorite sequence in the movie is a scene between David and Walter talking, and David is teaching him how to play a flute.
Yeah.
Why can't he play a flute? I don't think this is a spoiler. Because the David model was the first model. He started to think for himself and to create and to want this.
He was made with different parameters.
And
like,
so
the advanced model kind of cut out his emotions a little bit.
Yeah, well,
David
they cut
had
out
more of the emotions.
the new models. Any post-David models, they weren't allowed to create. Ergo, he couldn't do this, he couldn't do that. So David was teaching his brother, basically, to play the flute. And it's a beautiful sequence, the way Ridley Scott lights it, the way he shoots it, the slow back and forth, with Fassbender handing himself the flute and back and forth. And it has my favorite line in the movie. Once Walter gets it and plays a little tune, David says to him, "You have great symphonies in you, brother."
You have
That's
great
just a
symphonies
beautiful line. And it's a beautiful scene. And it's weird that it's in this movie, because it's not too long after that Ridley Scott says, "Okay, here you go, Alien fans."
Yeah.
And it's like this.
Turns it on its head and
I'm
shit
not
hits the
saying
fan.
this in a negative, really, but he just goes balls to the wall for the last 40 minutes of the movie. And he doesn't stop.
You're right. And there are some revelations within there. There is a lot of action. I think the tension was built best when they first arrive at this planet.
Yeah, we forgot to mention that.
Yeah, no, but we don't want to give that in too much detail. But
yeah.
There are some revelations there, and there are some things that pull back into Prometheus. But all in all, once the tension started in this film, it did not truly relent. There are softer moments. There are moments where you can feel a little more relaxed. But as a whole, he escalates the tension a la his previous film.
Yeah, he does. He does. Scott's a funny director. We should do a show about him sometime. I think he's one of the finest, and he's in my top probably 25 favorite directors
of all time. Yeah.
Yeah, he's of all. Yeah, probably 30. He has done at
Maybe
least
45.
3 to 4 of my, or 2 to 3 of my favorite films of all time. That's for sure.
Well, if he's done 2 to 3 of your favorite films of all time,
then he's
that's
one of the
pretty
best. Yeah,
good,
you're right. But
and I can take a stab at some of the others. I'm gonna guess Blade Runner's in there.
Yeah.
which also has a sequel coming.
Yep. Well, I mean, for time's sake, his first three.
Yeah.
Duelists, Alien, Blade Runner. Boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom.
Yeah.
He, over the last decade and a half, let's say since Gladiator, he's been rather idiosyncratic. He's done too many Tony Scott type movies. His late brother,
yeah,
who, no offense to him, was a more popcorn director. He had some gems, and since Gladiator, Ridley Scott has developed this shaky cam, and it gets annoying, and he was really the first to do it in Gladiator. And if you notice, all battle scenes after Gladiator are what's going on? Okay, I got it.
Yes, there's so much going on that your eyes can't possibly fathom it.
Yeah. Well, it could if you'd stop your camera and pull back a little there, guys. But he is one of the best directors, and I think in this movie he shows what he does best in two different ways. He does the deep philosophical. This movie has Blade Runner moments. He's not afraid to do genre films that ask greater questions.
Right.
And he did that so well in Blade Runner, and he does that so well here.
And in Prometheus, yes,
you're right, the prequel, the prequel sequel, and he, but I think that's what's turning a lot of people off to this film. Again, like Dave Zemer said, a film in search of identity. I think it has a couple of different identities, and I think that reflects David and Walter, or they reflect the film's identity, and vice versa.
Right. Which is a good turn of the head of, where the synthetics lie in all of this. They have played roles on both sides throughout this series.
Yeah, they've been created. Can what has been created be a creator? Do we need to search for our creator? Do we need to seek higher life?
Right.
Are we here? Who made us? What is our purpose? Guess what? We're talking about an alien movie, and those are the questions being raised, and I think that's a great thing.
Right, it's not just a surface film about monsters hunting people down that have acid for blood and
I think that's phenomenal.
Scary monsters.
Yeah, I think that he said, I'm doing this, and I'm going to give you the scares, and I'm going to give you the gore. By the way, more gore than any alien movie to date.
Yeah.
Bloodier. But he said, but wait, I'm also going to ask a few questions and give the Alien franchise some weight, a little bit of depth. And he started that in Prometheus, and he continues it here. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, frankly.
No, I don't.
I mean, like that a lot.
And we both talked about it. There are things that happen in the film that aren't so great.
Yeah, it has flaws, mind you. Don't get me wrong.
You were talking about your Obi-Wan Kenobi comparison.
Yeah,
and that's totally
David
totally
saves
accurate.
From the first. We won't get into details.
Totally accurate. Yeah, you
David
don't want to
saves
spoil
him
anything.
From the first attack.
Yeah.
We know there's going to be alien attacks. That's not David saves the crew from the first attack on the planet. And when he first shows up, he's in this hooded cloak, shooting a flare.
In a desert-type setting, almost.
Yeah, he's like, follow me. He might as well have said, we must go. The aliens will be back, and in greater numbers, like Obi-Wan said about the Sand People. Or he could have said, follow me, come with me if you want to live, or something. It was
No, I was just going to say, he pulls that back. If you want to live.
Yeah. It's just such a phony moment that it ends a really cool moment, and it just broke it for me. That's as much as I just got through saying how great Ridley Scott is. It's a stupid moment. I'm sorry. I found it dumb.
And so, for some of the Alien fans who didn't find this to be great, I see some of the flaws you saw, but overall, I mean, I was intrigued. I enjoyed the film. I enjoyed the play on the two different characters played by the same character and their roles in this.
Fassbender.
Yeah, Fassbender.
Yeah. And we should also mention, if we're handing out acting prizes, the only other acting prize
Right.
Danny McBride.
Surprise, serious role for Danny McBride, who did a great
He did a
job.
great job, and if he's he's Fassbender and McBride are the performances of the film,
Yeah, I would agree 100%.
and they both have extreme depth to them.
I,
A phrase I never thought I'd say, and following it up with Danny McBride.
yeah, I mean,
And
this
no
is,
offense to the guy, he's a funny dude.
and I enjoy his humor. I mean, this is Eastbound and Down. This is,
Well, I hated that, but yeah, but I like him.
you know, but Eastbound and Down, he still had a character to play, and he
Yeah.
played it to the T. He
And
was that character.
I heard him in an interview the week before Alien came out, and he even says it. He says, my agent called me and said, Ridley Scott called, wants to talk to you about the new Alien movie. And he said, I said, fuck you, stop messing with me, you know?
Right.
And he's like, no, he doesn't. Ridley Scott doesn't want to talk to me. I'm Danny McBride. You know?
That's awesome.
And it even gets better. He says that when he went to meet with Ridley Scott, he said, I'm going to sit in the office, and Ridley's going to be the very, you know, you've seen Ridley Scott speak. He's very, very British. He's very slow and quiet. And he said, I'll go in there, and I'll be like, yes, sir, and, you know. And he said, I went in there, and I'm all nervous, and I'm trying to be as proper as a guy like me can be. This is Danny McBride talking.
Right.
And he's
Don't say fuck.
And he's got his cigar in his hand, and he says the first thing he says to me is, "You want to see my concept art for the ships?" And I said, sure. And he said Ridley Scott pulled his chair around the desk right next to Danny McBride, and he said he was like a kid. Oh, look at this one. And look at this one. And he got this part of the ship. And then about halfway through, he put the drawings away and he said, okay, I've got to get to a meeting. Nice to meet you. And he said, oh, well, I probably didn't get it. And he said, okay, well, it's been a pleasure meeting you, Mr. Scott. And he said the last thing he said was, yeah, I'll let you know the start date and we'll work out the contracts. He's like, wait, I've got it?
That's awesome.
Yeah, he didn't even audition him or anything. That's fantastic.
That's awesome.
A good story.
It sounds very similar to, this is off topic, but funny way that it happened. When Eddie Van Halen was first contacted by Quincy Jones to do Beat It.
Oh, that's right.
The guitar riff from Beat It. He was like, why would Quincy Jones be contacting me? And so Quincy Jones called him directly, you know, back in the day, as how you handled things was person to person, not all this, you know, agent calling agent.
You're on, yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, he called him and he actually cursed him out a few times, like, you know, fuck you, quit prank calling me, whatever. And finally, you know, like the third phone call or so, he was like, Eddie, this is Quincy Jones. And he was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And of course, they went on to create one of the most badass songs of all time and Beat It.
Yeah.
But it kind of that kind of thing where it's like, I don't fit with a Quincy Jones style.
Exactly, yeah.
But yes, you do, and you make awesomeness when you break character and you think outside the box.
And that's what, I mean, like or hate Danny McBride, that's what, you know, who would have thought Bill Murray would now be one of a good dramatic actor? You know? You would have told me that when we walked out of Meatballs. I would have said, get out of here, Bill Murray.
Or if anybody asked our parents that old Frank Drebin, why can't I think of Leslie Nielsen would become an amazing comedian.
Exactly.
You know? Anybody of our age and growing up always thinks of him from Airplane and Naked Gun and thinks of him as a comedian first. But for our parents,
or could you imagine
not even
a reality show contest or host being president of the United States?
Yeah.
Anyway,
that happened.
I wear it on my sleeve.
That
folks.
totally happened.
But Danny McBride is wonderful, and he really is. He's really good. There's a scene where he gets some news. And he has to process it quickly and move on because of what's happening.
And you believed it.
And it's a very believable moment. Very believable.
Yeah.
And so Danny McBride, and two names you never thought you'd even say together. Danny McBride and Michael Fassbender together are the acting anchors of Alien Covenant.
And speaking of McBride, because he fits into every show You were saying he had a concept to come up with a new Halloween.
Yes, very quickly, Danny McBride and
Halloween
David.
directed by John Carpenter. John Carpenter fits into every show.
That's right. There you go. Yeah,
Yes.
Danny McBride and David Gordon Green are writing the next Halloween. I'm still unsure about that, but Carpenter's behind it, and he's helping. So anyway, we'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah.
But
There's our Carpenter reference for the show. Every show, folks, Carpenter will be brought up.
The Godfather. Godfather.
And it's funny, he's not even our favorite director, but he'll always get a mention. He's one of them. But
he could possibly be.
US,
I mean, when I think of how many films he has in my top list, it's just like, is he?
Yeah, right.
You know?
Yeah.
Hard to say, you know.
But getting back to Alien Covenant, we did the acting thing. But yeah, McBride, Fassbender, acting honors. The last 40 minutes, Ridley Scott says, okay, I made you guys think here and there. Here you go, fans. And I'm not going to stop till the movie's over. And we get a balls-to-the-wall Alien movie.
Yeah, it gives you the Alien end.
But, and this is not a surprise because he's all over the preview, and I wouldn't have done that. But we get to see the alien eventually we all know and love. We're seeing the
classic xenomorph.
We're seeing the growth of the xenomorph, and this is not a surprise, but I won't tell him how it plays out. There is a great scene with the eggs that we all know and love too.
Yeah,
I tell you, I love the way they did that. That was fan, and you know who's great in that scene? Michael Fassbender.
You're right.
It
was well done. My only thing that I would gripe about in the last 40 minutes and when it really turns into an alien film,
you're probably going to gripe about the same thing I'm going to gripe about.
Is they were a little too aggressive and not too stealthy. That's Alien is built on that they're coming to kill you, but they're going to sneak around to do it.
I'm going to sit in the pipes until you walk by and you think I'm the pipes.
Exactly. Instead of like chasing your ship down and jumping on, latching on like
his head trying to get
I'm coming for you. It doesn't stop. Yeah. It doesn't think. It doesn't have feelings. Right. It's Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I tell you, that was a good line from Danny McBride when he's piloting the ship, and it's in the preview. This is not a spoiler. And the xenomorph lands on the ship, and he's banging his head on the glass, and Danny McBride's like, because she says, you know, she's out there trying to get it, and do you have eyes on? I've got eyes on it. It's right fucking in front of me. That was a good moment.
Yeah.
No, and that's all great. By the way, that I think I turned and said that to you in the theater. The whole sequence where he's trying to steady the ship and she's on the rope trying to get the xenomorph while it's crawling all over the outside of the ship in the rain and the wind. That's a phenomenal action sequence, I thought.
Yeah, no.
I thought it was so well done. My issue is the final action sequence. I won't tell him how it plays out, but the final action sequence with the xenomorph.
Yeah.
Nah. Yeah. It's like, oh, here we go. Oh, it's done.
No, and I would agree. And as our friend Carlos, who went to the sneak preview with us, pointed out, done in a fashion that is not too unfamiliar. That said too much and not said anything at all. Exactly. So I think we can kind of cap off with that.
Is nothing new.
Nope.
And after all the new stuff that he did bring to the film, you're almost at the end. Really? And I'm not talking about the very end. I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. The final battle with the xenomorph.
Right.
I'm like, really? Come on.
And he manages to squeeze in a few good, thought-provoking revelations after that. Nothing that you didn't see coming.
Of course we won't. Even though you see that coming 10 miles away.
Yeah.
And I believe I said it to you before you were even supposed to know.
The moment that a certain
that moment,
action happened.
We won't want to. I said, I bet you it's going to blah and blah.
Right.
But the final moment of the movie is masterful in my eyes.
Mm.
Not the revelation. That's, okay, yeah, I knew that. That from that very moment, when this person says shh,
Mm-hmm.
and then the Wagner and the camera and the
Yeah.
wide shot and what he's walking through.
Right.
Brilliant.
And
That's Scott at the top of his game.
right.
Right
Right.
there.
And the placement of things in certain places. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
And that's a perfect place to cap this off because we've reached right to the end of the film. I think we've done it relatively well without spoiling too much and still giving some good information.
I agree. I just wanted to touch on a couple of very quick small points.
And I will say we did bash this a little bit at the end, but both of us walked out of that theater happy. And I don't understand why it's having such a fall off right now.
Yeah, I tell you what it is, and I tell you why it's having such a fall off, is we live in the age of bashing the big stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And this is weird to say on a podcast, but all these couch reviewers and podcasters,
Right?
oh, popular movie coming to the, it's gonna suck. Like
yeah, people are ready to hate.
I won't
nowadays.
name a name, and we've already talked about it, and we'll just say a couple more points and then end this review. There's a colleague, a fellow reviewer, and we had a little fun. No, not throwing shade, not arguing. Tete-a-tete. Because Martin Scorsese has a new film he's working on about the Irish and Italian mobs called The Irishman, with Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, Joe Pesci, Harvey Keitel. Okay, and it's being produced by Netflix. Okay, whatever, fine. I don't care who gives them the money to do it.
Was it about Dutch Schultz
No,
versus
it's
Luciano?
modern, 70s,
Okay.
80s. But my God, that would be awesome. But this other person, and if you're listening, I'm sorry, and again, I'm not angry, and we already talked about it, says he knows for sure that this film will be shit. And I say no you don't, because for a million reasons, but number one, I don't think Martin Scorsese can do shit. Number two, he's returning to a genre that he does better than anyone. Number three,
I'd
it
agree
stars De Niro, Pacino, Keitel, Pesci, and his answer to that was, well, they haven't been on their game. No, they haven't. But they are also returning to that genre that they excel in, and are working with someone who excels in, it's...
Right, not
me,
only
it's
from an acting standpoint,
Yeah,
also
it's an
from a
asinine
directing
thing that, like, if Stanley
writing.
Kubrick were alive and his new film...
Who was it who said he guaranteed this would be shit?
I'm not going to name a name.
Oh, okay, gotcha. But it's someone you know personally. It's not not an actor, not a director.
No. It's someone to me said this.
Ah.
And I said to them, you're out of your fucking mind. It would be like if Kubrick or Kurosawa or Sergio Leone had a new movie with a good cast, and it was produced by Netflix, and they hadn't been on their
Stanley
game
Kubrick
lately.
and Jack Nicholson are getting back together to do a new film.
And then I
it's
would
gonna
say,
suck.
well, it's going to suck because Netflix is producing it, and Jack Nicholson hasn't done
Oh, yeah,
anything
because,
lately.
Netflix is just putting out shit right
exactly.
now. They hadn't
Well-
come out with the biggest show of last year.
Yeah.
Probably 3 or 4 of the biggest of last year. They're not killing it with movies. And they're not thinking outside the box and getting new stuff going. If you're talking about Netflix, Netflix is killing it right now.
Netflix is killing it.
It's the way people are going to truly have freedom to produce their ideas. And I've always been a big proponent of this. When you're making something for the masses, you're making a massive pile of shit. When you're making something true to yourself and you have a true vision, then you have the chance of actually making something that will break grounds. And that's when you get amazing new things.
And I don't know how we
Case
got
in
on
point,
this.
the Duffer Brothers. The Duffer Brothers put out Stranger Things, and they were allowed to do it their way.
Yeah.
And they were allowed to do their throwback and do it in their style, and it killed it. It's the biggest thing of last year.
Yeah, I agree.
The biggest thing of last year.
And it will be the biggest thing of this year.
I'm hoping so. I'm really hoping the ball doesn't drop on this because
me too.
It was one show that
because
didn't
lest we
let
forget
me down.
Twin
It
Peaks
did
season
not
1
let me
versus Twin Peaks season 2.
So there's another one, Twin Peaks, coming from them.
Yeah.
They have
no, it's on Showtime.
So Twin Peaks is Showtime.
Yeah.
Sorry,
but no, I don't even know how we got on that.
About Netflix.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Martin Scorsese and his new.
Yeah, but how the hell did we get there? Anyway, I don't know. But the point of it is
that I lost too.
Look, if you told me Michael Bay had a new movie. If you told me Michael Bay had a new movie produced by Netflix, yeah, then I'd say, well, that's going to be shit, and I know it. But you don't say a movie by... It's irrelevant. We're talking about Alien.
A new movie by Ridley Scott, directed by... Yeah, no.
Yeah. But anyway, just a few last quick things, and then we'll wrap up. The music, I thought it was a big, old-fashioned orchestrated score that we don't get anymore, and by Jed Kurzel. And the editing... by Scott's go-to guy of late, Pietro Scala, is amazing. It's not too Tony Scott editing like Ridley Scott does sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And the
super shaky fast cam.
The beautiful look of the film by cinematographer Dariusz Wolski. It looks great. It's dark and rainy and gray and black and sleek. And the ship... the design of the ship, by the production design by Chris Seegers.
Mm-hmm.
The design of the ship, the interior of the Covenant, is many tips of the hat to the
original film
Nostromo.
Yeah.
In Alien. Yeah. And I just wanted to that and the set decoration by Victor Zolfo. I just wanted to make sure we got that out there because those are all
noteworthy.
Very noteworthy and part of what makes the film work.
Yeah, so I would say, as always, good or bad, we always suggest you go watch it and formulate your own opinion.
Yeah.
If something's complete shit, we're going to tell you to don't waste your time.
Right.
But if it's even in the middle, we always say formulate your own opinion.
Yeah, and really, even if we tell you it's shit, formulate your own opinion and tell us we're wrong.
Yeah.
Or agree with us, I hope. But on my 5-star scale, I give this a very strong 3. Kind of close to 3.5 stars.
Yeah, I don't do the star scale like he does.
Yeah.
I just say, overall, I did not find this to be a disappointment. I found it to be the most interesting Alien film to come out since Aliens. And it's been quite a long time since Aliens came out, so that's good. And I heavily enjoyed Prometheus. Between the two of them, I would be tough to tell you which one I preferred. This one definitely had more aliens, but Prometheus definitely was a little more thought-provoking.
Yeah.
Some people hate Prometheus and found that slow and boring and dull and said there was no twists and turns.
Yeah.
There were tons. You just weren't
exactly.
paying
And then he
attention.
gave you a big action ending.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fantastic.
Yeah. So we're in agreement, basically.
We're in agreement. This was a good Aliens.
It's a very
film.
good Alien
Good
film.
Alien film.
Yeah. And it's flawed, but the flaws don't get in the way. There's not enough of them.
Right. I would agree.
I think it's an Alien film, and it's a little bit more. It's not as deep as Prometheus, even though it speaks further on Prometheus's issues. That's hard to say.
Right. They are connected.
Yeah. But no, I think it gives us everything we want from an Alien movie, even though it falters towards the end at that. And it gives us something more. And it's for me, it's even more interesting when there was no aliens. I was enthralled at all the stuff. And the alien stuff was cool too. But I was enthralled at all the character work and the questions, and I liked all that stuff. A lot. A whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a fan. Alien Covenant, I hope it turns a profit. I really do, because I want 2 more.
Yeah.
Because Ridley said he'll do them both.
So go and see it.
Let's do it.
All right.
And just very quickly, the way it ends, totally room for another one.
Yeah. Oh no, it's you can see that he's paving a path and he has a bigger story in mind. And just trust a capable director to weave his story. So
yeah.
This is Matt.
And this is Tony, and I guess 2 thumbs up, even though we don't do that, for Alien Covenant.
2 thumbs up.
And we'll see you for our next review and or our next podcast
This is
coming
Siskel.
next week.
This is Ebert.
And unfortunately, because of the way I've been eating, this is Ebert.
2 thumbs up.
All right. Stay scared, everybody.
Stay scared.